All right. Good morning. Good afternoon. What's going on, everyone? Hope you all had really a really truly wonderful, joy-filled weekend. It's Monday. Glad to be back with you all. Looking forward to a nice session. Had a hiccup getting going this morning. Do apologize for that, but here we are, ready to get going. The market's a little subdued this morning because Europe is still celebrating Easter holiday. It's Easter Monday over in Europe. Nevertheless, really important to get into the flow of things here. We're going to be doing that in just a moment. Tried to get you guys some music here as we went and got going, but then had a little bit of technical hiccups this morning. Do apologize for that. We are set to go right now, though. I'm going to get started here in just a moment. Good to see you in here, Faith, Jesse, Blair. Hope you guys are doing well. Here, Indonesia is the wild card for Asia, Blair. Did you hear that as well? They're not sure about what's going on as far as what could happen with the spread of the virus, whether or not we're getting any type of true picture over there or what it may be. Need to see this. Just give me a minute before we get started, everyone. Appreciate your patience. I'll be with you ready to get roaring in just a moment. Just cleaning some stuff up over here because we have multiple streams going on and this is not good for the rest of the community. And I'm going to figure this out and get up and going real quick. YouTube has kind of changed the way they do things, and it's making it a little bit harder on our end here. As you know, we've had streams running into the after the close and whatnot, but we're gonna get this going really quick right now. Yeah, I know with almost certainty though that you're safe and healthy. Appreciate all the information shared about keeping the immune system up. We're about to get going here. I just need a couple of more minutes. And when I say couple, I do mean just two. We'll be ready to go. Fortunately, we got a lot of our people in a different channel. I'm going to get them over into this one. Countdown, 30 seconds. 29, 28, 27. For real. Up. Well, looks like we got multiple people. Sheriff, what's going on, everyone? Gabe, David, we got multiple people in both rooms that I can't tell which one is which, so I'm going to change the description. It's a good thing it's a slow day. This is going to tell me. All right. Now I found out what room we're in. By changing the title, you can see that, which means we're just moments away. As I delete this other one, which we got a bunch of people in. Unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodbye to them right now. Mata, good morning. All right, here we go. So I do apologize about that. To be honest, I'm not even sure what's going on. I can't even believe we could get a thumbs up for that, but I do appreciate the love. Listen, so far in this session, we have the euro is the weakest currency and the yen is the strongest. How do I know that? I simply read a Forex live headline right over here. It said the Japanese yen is the strongest and the euro is the weakest going into the session. That gives me the little bit of heads up, right? You could use a heat map. You could do whatever is most efficient and easiest for you. It's been a little bit of a session that we didn't have follow through on. Let's take a look at it. By the way, US equities, as we are about 20 minutes from the opening, traded down heavily on the open. Since then, have drifted up and are coming up into this area of resistance. It's earnings week, which is why I start off with that and bring it up. We're going to see some earnings, which should be absolutely horrific. Let's see how the market handles that. If the market's understanding because of the big COVID, or whether or not indices come under pressure. One of the biggest things I see going on Friday, Fed Chairman Powell said that the next thing that the Fed is going to be looking to do, he hinted at, is buying stocks directly. What does that mean? You guys might have seen the headline over the week. It was CNBC screenshot, and it was a headline saying 17 million Americans out of work. And then in the background is a chart saying stocks have their best week since 1932. So we might be seeing a lot more of that. I'm going to dig deeper into that and share my findings with you. Right now, let's dig into the charts. I'm starting here with the euro US dollar, because this is giving us a pretty easy indication of what's to happen next over here. This channel over here, we got this little bit of a rising channel that we've been in for the past week. All right. While we're in it, we're now trading down towards support. If this trend line breaks, I do believe it's time to get short here on the US dollar, euro US dollar, with the first initial target of this local support down over here at 1.08317. You could see what happened overnight is that we came up and hit into this resistance. This resistance, what you can see the blue blocks we have here, the lower end of it. That was the resistance from right over here. You can see the touches over here, and we've so far have now come down and we're challenging. We're about to challenge the lower trend line support over here. A break below will definitely be setting up a short entry here on the euro US dollar. DXY is mixed. Why is that? Well, the yen is, and not only that, we've regained our trend line over here. All right. There was a fantastic, when I say fantastic, I mean a really good article on the euro dollar system. Now, that's not the currency, the euro versus the US dollar. It's the euro dollar system, which is really ultimately the real reserve currency of the world. I don't know if you have seen it. It was on Zero Hedge over the weekend. That's something that's worth talking and sharing about. But the DXY here, you could see, first of all, we do have this lower low, a higher low, a higher low, and another higher low. So the formation here continues to be quite bullish. At the same time, we do have a series of lower highs. So we're still contracting here, getting ready for a big breakout. Right now, though, we're above this trend line over here. You got to have the little bit of bullishness bias back into it. Now, what's weighing on the US dollar index today is the Japanese yen. Japanese yen today gaining about half a percentage point on the US dollar. Also, though, this almost mirrors the dollar index, though. You could see that same coil formation. All right. And there's not much of any type of clarity here. The only thing that I would like to do is just have this like in your mind. I'm not leaving this pattern, this triangle here, but this is what's happening with price. All right. So we're coming across all markets to an inflection point. You guys could see that very clearly here on the US dollar, Japanese yen. You could see it clearly on the US dollar index. All right. Which means wait for the break. Don't get in right now into this pair. There's no edge whatsoever. Stay away. Wait, because it's coming. And when it comes, it's going to be fireworks. Before we get into gold, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the euro Japanese yen. Makes a lot of sense. Look at that. There's the breakdown out of that channel, and we got definitely another 30, 35 pips in here before we just even get to an area of local support over here. You could see it, the top of the resistance over here and their support. So that's the area to be looking to target. Could we go much lower than that? I think that, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, a lot of commitment of traders reports have people really positioned long on the euro. That doesn't really mean too much. I'm not a euro bull. I think that the EU has a lot of trouble ahead, especially if we start seeing any fragmentation. If we see Italy really look like it might have the potential and possibility to leave, that will open up a floodgate of disaster for the common currency. Right here, though, beautiful breakdown out of the channel led by the Japanese yen. That trade looks like it has the potential to definitely keep continuing. So looking very good. Good luck. Bitcoin had a wild weekend. Had a really wild weekend. It held over here into this area of support, was trading up nicely until the US equity future markets opened yesterday. And then as they came off, and you could see that they came off pretty hard right over here. We'll look at gold in a second and see if how gold traded during that time. But during that sell off right here, Bitcoin at the same time sold down. It was up maybe 2% and then went down, I think, 3 or 4% perhaps. Caught into this area of support though. You could see it over here and is since off the low. What is interesting, so above 65, above the support over here, is still maintains quite bullish. If we break that support, while I will not look for a short at that point, I will be pretty much on the sidelines waiting. When I say sideline, I mean for tradable BTC, on the sidelines waiting to see where we base out and start resuming upwards. If we get any type of retrace here on the S&P, which is trading at a 50% retracement over here. Is it 50% retracement down from 21? Yeah, 50% retracement here from the highs of 34, and in an area of resistance. So if this area of resistance holds and this rolls over, I am completely interested to see what Bitcoin does. I'm still waiting for the day that Bitcoin and gold both trade up on a day when the US indices are down, and that's not happening yet. That's not happening yet. So if the indices are down, I'm cautious. Gold maintaining up here towards the highs over here towards 1700. It appears to be looking for a breakout. And if, again, once it gets going, if it breaks out from there, it could be off to the races. Nevertheless, I remain on the sidelines, not looking to enter. Although I would not be surprised if gold was to clear its overhead over here. How far and how quickly it can make it, rightfully so. Let me try to just zoom out a little bit. You can see there's not much until you get over here towards 1800, and if you clear 1800 to new all-time highs, is really just a stone throw. So gold has all the fundamentals backing it, why it should be making the moves it's making. The only thing that I'm cautious of is, again, if we start seeing a resumption in the sell-off in the equities during earnings weeks as we begin into earnings season over here, and whether or not that weighs on gold or not. It could go either way. I have no edge. Yeah, all Japanese yen pairs. Yeah, we just looked at the euro US dollar. The all Japanese yen pairs this today are yen is strongest currency pair, right? Yen is strongest currency pair. We did see overnight the risk. Originally, we were seeing risk off, and which has since been faded. You could see this almost mirroring the U.S. equities, which sold off on the opening of the futures and have since traced back up. You could see that also happening right here on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This remains a pair that is traded into resistance over here. All right. It's at a pretty nice spot here to be able to look to lean in, because right here, when the trade is wrong and you could get out of the trade. Now, this should be support down here. This would be the first area to look to take any type of action, whether it's moving your stop loss or if it's continuing to push that trade. So that pair is definitely in play today. And one of the pairs that I'm leaning towards, let's look at the pound Japanese yen, which this is also coming to an area over here where I'm watching this trend line. That's why I have these stuff drawn in over here. It looks like, so the pound, I have to look at the pound US dollar in just a moment, but the pound, I believe, has remained moderately strong. I imagine that the pound is gaining versus the euro today. We'll check it out, but we're into support right now, double support area. We have the support at 134.68, and then we have this trend line support. So how this bar, see London over here? How price makes, is that London or is that Asia? There you go. Use this 4 hour. How we break to the up or down over here of the previous bar should give an indication of what's next for the pound Japanese yen. Definitely also at a very tradable point over here. Let's look at the pound US dollar while we're over here. Into resistance over here. Dollar also, again, you can see when I say into resistance, the reason being is you could see this area of resistance. This is where we're trading. It looked like we're breaking above until you get a close on the daily. You can see the touch over here as well on the side of the chart. Until we get a break above confirmed on the daily, there's no breakout. And if anything, if this does wind up making lower lows here on the 8 hour, this little bit of a fake out is just going to add some fuel to the momentum to the downside. So it's just cautious into resistance over here, but I like better the pound Japanese yen than the pound US dollar at this point. Pound US dollar is kind of still consolidating, hugging this resistance over here. This resistance, it's not into resistance yet. This trend line, it's regaining it over here. What does it have to do to become bullish in my mind? I'm going to move this down over here to these touches and this touch. Yeah, that's a good spot for it. Yeah, it has to clear this area over here to get a bullish bias back over here. And if it does, it could start climbing. It could start climbing pretty quickly. We have about 8 minutes to the U.S. equities open. Again, Europeans are off on holiday. It's been a bit of a subdued session. Over here on the pound US dollar, again, just to see, we're trading in this channel right now. We were rejected overnight into this resistance over here. You can see the dollar firmed up a little, and now we're trading into this trend line over here. This is support. If you start resuming upwards, it is a possibility to get long here. At the same time, make lower lows over at this, take out 1.0902, and we could see some further sell-off as we lose this trend line, the lower trend line support of the trading channel. What's going on, Martine and everyone? David, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It does look like it's going to break down that resistance to me, but you're at support, right? I agree, Jesse. It looks to me like it's going to break down, but you're at support. Wait for that confirmation. It just makes your life and everything a lot easier. Let's check out the US. Let's check out WTI. This is an important story to be told. This was the story of the weekend. We finally had some type of agreement take place. Mexico was the lone holdout. Good for them. Good for them because they hedged. They hedged their oil trade at the beginning of the year, so they're not feeling the pressure of $23 oil. they're hedged all the way back up at like I don't know exactly, but it's in this area, whether it's, the high 50s or low 60s. That's where Mexico is hedged. That's so they're not feeling this pressure down over here. They kind of stood up to Saudi Arabia. Anyone that stands up to power, good for them. So I really like that. So what happened though? Oil has kind of had a very, very narrow range day. It opened up higher, then went lower, and then back up higher. So it's just whipping around over here. You could see that right now. We're coming into an area of resistance. Where is it? It's hard to get a good clean look at that right now, to be honest. So where could I find it that's easy? All the way up there. That's not so easy. Um, yeah, I guess in the long run, I think oil is going to wind up trading lower, but and when I say lower, I mean this little tiny bit of production cut might might put a higher low into oil, but I think that's still somewhere below the $20 level, and I think it's going to be ultimately around 14. I hope not. I hope not for the world economy. I hope not for all the people involved in the oil sector, because there's a lot of jobs, and as well as the lifeblood of a lot of countries, as well as that lower oil puts a lot of pressure on the US dollar, a lot of strength into the US dollar. It's just the world is obviously in a pretty precarious situation here. So we're hoping for the best, but I think we have some more further pressure there on oil. I think the DXY is on the move up. So let's see if euro is ready to challenge down over here. It's going to set an alert on this trend line so that when it's taken out, I'll be aware. And then I'm aware now. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, still maintaining a bid as we come into this area of resistance. So, I'm not betting on that global recovery. I do believe that their possibility remains that at some point soon, when I say soon, that's within a reasonable amount of time. So call it anywhere from 1 to 5 months, that the Fed will actually step in and start buying stocks. I believe that is what is going to happen. Now that becomes a play versus a weaker dollar, right? Because there comes a time when if the Fed starts just really overstimulating and really just ruining that currency, just like in Venezuela, you could see the stock market making all-time highs. You're losing purchasing power in the dollar at that point, but the equities could be trading at all-time highs. Nevertheless, that just brings us back to our main thesis of long Bitcoin and gold, which in this environment, in the over the next year, over the next 6, 12, and 18 months, are going to be the instruments that thrive. So, and what about silver? Let's take a look at silver trading at $15, still trading back down a little bit. Again, again, everyone knows you got to own the physical stuff. You just got to have that stored away. Hopefully that's something you never use and pass on to future generations. It's insurance, right? It's insurance versus a system that's decaying. You're not going to find the type of gains you make on Bitcoin, on gold and silver, but nevertheless, they provide insurance. I'm not totally sold that we're out of the woods yet, and that we won't see any lower lows on both gold and silver. So it's hard for me to get involved right now, because you can see we're about on silver over here. We're about 50% retrace level, as are the indexes, the US stock indexes. Now, gold is the one that's trading towards its highs, right? And I've said that the gold and silver ratio will continue to trade at all-time highs in this current environment, that I am a fan of gold and not silver at this point, even though that seems to be contrary to a lot of what you hear. And that's because this is different this time right now, in the fact that people are positioning to have a say during the reset. because a global reset is coming and people are going to be prepared for what happens next. That means countries are appreciating their gold and buying and stocking up on their gold reserves whenever possible. Of course, we're in the middle of a crisis right now. Russia has not been able to buy gold the last month because they can't even find any to buy. So did it? So that's why we got to be careful. Let's check it out. Um, it was on support, and just set that alert like I did on the trend line. We'll check out the Australian dollar, US dollar next with pleasure. Just set the alert and then wait for it. There it comes. It's going your way. It's going your way, Jesse. Right now, about to break it. Dollar pick it up over here. Beautiful. Australian dollar, US dollar. I think the Australian dollar US dollar is getting towards a level where it's ready to roll over. All week it was bid all of last week. It's up quite a lot off its lows. This is back to an area where to me it looks attractive. Are we going to see 40 cents on the Australian dollar US dollar? Probably, I don't know. I mean, if anyone can make that type of a prediction, then there it is. That's the $1 million trade for the year. We could only focus in on the near term, and for me that's week to week, right? Over here we're coming into an area of resistance, right? And if price does roll over here, this is the time, I think, to get short. Is this pricing in a recovery? I think this was an overreaction. You saw the Fed take action with a massive amount of stimulus. Direct swap lines right here were opened up to the Aussie central bank, so that they could get a hold of dollars. But those dollars have to be paid back. I think this was nothing more than a reprieve. And let me see if I could connect any type of trend line over here to give a little bit. Yeah. Right. So I think staying below that trend line over there, and it's easy to maintain that bias. You will see over here, if you where my mouse is, if you extend over the horizontal line, that comes in, this area of resistance comes in close to this trend line resistance as well. I'm bearish on the Australian dollar, US dollar. And I think the chances of us seeing any type of recovery anytime soon. Who knows when? Does anyone have any ideas? Please write in the comments right now, because I'm really would like to be able to have a better guesstimate of when they think, whatever country they're in, the economy is going to open up. You know, I understand in Germany they don't really know how to do it. Spain this week is starting construction workers again. Um, they allowed people to visit relatives yesterday for Easter. It sounds to me like they're going to see a resurgence in cases and have to shut down people again. The U.S. right now, speaking with friends, we don't, I'm not sure that kids will go back to school in the fall. We'll see. We got just want to say, first of all, really enjoyed the weekly Forex forecast and analysis. Anita, I don't know if you're listening. I hope you are. You definitely said that you saw Bitcoin a head and shoulders developing, and I need to get a little bit of help from you. So if you're here right now, please text. I would like to get a better view, or please do send me a chart, because I'm not going to, anytime Anita calls out a head and shoulders or a reverse head and shoulders, a big move's coming, right? She nailed this one over here on the Euro US dollar. This is on the 4 hour, so it's not that clean. We're going to check back in on the Euro US dollar right now. She nailed this one, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and this was a huge move down. She nailed the recent reverse head and shoulders on gold, which sent it back towards the 1700 level, right? So please do send a look. I don't see it yet. DXY is, again, Europe is definitely out for Easter Monday today. Moves are a little bit of subdued. What I'm seeing is the dollar is definitely trying to make a little bit of a comeback from last week when it was sold off a little bit. Um, Here we go on the euro US dollar. It looks like it's trying to break down outside of this channel right now. And if it does, I like this trade to the short side. It's one of the best trades I see all day. Was the entry to take it up into this resistance? That's debatable. But I definitely see a clear channel and this trend line over here, and this provides a safer, entry. This is the better entry. This provides a safe entry. We're coming close to it right now. We're seeing as the U.S. Equity markets are now open, we're seeing them off slightly. But well off the overnight lows. Yeah, Anita, let's look at that closely together and help me out here. Pulling up the 4-hour. All right. So, Anita, is this the head? Just to be clear, is this the head? Because if this is the head, then we could go ahead and work it out together. There it is, Martine. Wait for that trend line break. We got the cross right now of the euro US dollar. If this is the head, Anita, and this is the left shoulder that you're looking at, are you waiting for the right shoulder to form? Or do you see, or let's do this. Is this the neckline that you're watching? I'm gonna leave that up there and come back to you, Anita. Please let me know. Please let me know. Let's check out the euro US dollar as it's breaking now outside of that trend line, giving a signal, a sell signal. You can see this trend line over here, price now. As soon as it starts making out, I would say this low over here, this low of 1.0903, which is about 4 pips up, right? That would be the confirmation that this is now resuming and making lower lows outside of the trend line, and looks like a safe spot to get short. Let's check out the DXY at the same time, see how she's holding on. And then I want to go back and look at the US dollar, Japanese yen. See that this looks pretty good over here. DXY back above the trend line over here. It definitely still has work to do. And, when I say work, about another 10 points here, 99.66 in that area, more or less. That's going to show that we then took out this area of resistance. And then if we're starting to get some momentum, I don't think it'll be too long before we're trading back above 100 again. See how we do there. Let's not get too much ahead of ourselves. All right. So it's Monday, and always be aware of our surroundings. What does that mean? It's Monday, which is a holiday over in Europe. Normally, this session is a high volume session because of the overlap of the European and New York and U.S. traders. Europeans are on holiday. All right. So we are nevertheless seeing some price movements and some tradable price movements happen. Let's check out the US dollar, Japanese yen. We haven't looked at the US dollar, Canadian dollar, which I think is important. And I do want to look at next after we check out on the US dollar, Japanese yen. And you can see the dollar actually even gaining some strength here versus the yen. If you extend a trend line over here, a support line, you could see the resistance here and the support here, and now it's support again over here. That's obviously a line you want to be looking at, right, and keeping on your charts. Now, it does appear that this support has a possibility of holding over here. Now, let me draw that in as resistance above. If you start making higher highs over here, I don't know what time frame you'd be looking at, the 1 hour during this session, perhaps. If you start getting some higher highs here than the previous price bar, it's a good trade. You have better than what is the risk reward here? I would say it looks to me about a 1 to 2 just going into the first area of resistance, right? So that's a good trade setting up over here. So we have some good opportunities. Euro, US dollar, Japanese yen. Let's see whether or not that dollar is able to get a foothold and resume upwards. And let's check out the US dollar, Canadian dollar over here. And you could see that this has held. All right. So this is getting, first of all you're seeing here, this wildness. Since the wildness, price is being contracting, and it's now getting to a point, as we're seeing on multiple pairs right now, we're seeing a point of contraction. So that means that spring is coiled down, that energy is being kept within it, and it's going to be, as soon as it's let go, we're going to see big moves, right? So, and it's still not clear whether this move is going to be to the upside or downside, right? That's dependent, probably largely on the dollar. We're seeing oil's just really unchanged on the day, and it's still trying to figure out or price in the moves, the production cuts, which we all know at the end of the day is not enough to do anything. There's an oversupply of oil. There's a lack of demand. It's a little less than 10 million barrels are cut a day, when there was, they needed to cut 28 million. That doesn't really add up. So I think this might be a place here. The safe trade is wait for the break of this trend line over here. I'm going to add an alert. Just makes it easier. I'm not looking to play to the downside, right? Is there a lot of room to the downside if we break? There is, right? I'm going to remove this trend line over here. There's a lot of room to the downside. It's a good trade on both ways. I'll only play it to the upside, however. Ugh, Blair, always getting those moving averages in the way. So, I mean, really interesting. That's a really really something to be aware of. Then, if you're taking the Euro US dollar trade, I keep it simple. I'm focused in on support, resistance, trend lines, right? But you're taking that trade, as you're approaching also the 100 period moving average, 100 hour moving average. So caution, support and resistance, moving averages, they're all also double tops, double bottoms, all meant to be broken. Let's see what happens. What's going on, Simon? Definitely let's check out the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. And also, while we're talking pairs like that, let's also check out afterwards the euro, British pound. All right, I'm going to start here on the daily time frame. Long run, bigger view. Bigger view is nasty. The trend is definitely down. You can see over here, you made a triple bottom. 1, 2, 3. You can see a triple bottom put in place over there. Let's go zoom in a little bit closer over here. We're into an area of resistance. Oops. Let me zoom this out. We're into an area of resistance. And really, we have not, in the past 5 months, 6 months, we've not seen higher than this push over here. Push back over here, this high that we saw in March, early March. At that point, we might get a sustained break to the upside. Was this the bottom? To be honest, weren't even watching it anymore. I think that this move is pretty extended versus the Australian dollar over here. You're in over an extension of a move and into resistance. I would be looking to watch if you get on the 8-hour over here or on the daily. On the 8-hour, I'd be watching if it fits one of our preferred times to trade, right? Whether it's during London or New York, and you get a rejection off of this resistance here that we're at now, or this one up here, I would look to be selling both of them after this prolonged retrace that we've seen here. But we're into resistance right now. It's a resistance that's held for 6 months with the exception of this break right here. And that one was rejected. So I'd be looking to lean into both these resistance over here if price starts making lower lows, giving a possible entry signal. At the same time, let's check out the euro. British pound. I expect the pound is making some gains over here. Above is the head. Come right back to that in 1 sec. All right, let me keep this chart up. Shaim, I'm definitely bearish on the Australian dollar, US dollar right now as it's up into these levels. If you have a chart with that channel, please go ahead and share it. Go ahead and click the camera icon to take a snapshot. Copy that link, right? But when you copy that link, only share, look up here into the search bar. Only share, copy and paste the X on and share that into the chat. All right, pull that up. Seeing some nice movement here in this session. I want to go back to the pound. That just shows my bullish bias that I won't even look at the head and shoulders that you see on the 4-hour. All right, I see it now. So I got caught with some bullish bias over there. This is the left shoulder. This is the head. This is now the right shoulder. Remove this. Let's put in a neckline, Anita. And I would say we'll have to keep it like that for safety reasons. And there is the head and shoulders. I want to see if that also looks better on the 8-hour. Little less jumpy, but there is definitely a pattern to be watching. If this is to break, right? What is the potential move that we're looking at? And let's see if that is pointing to any type of support. Yeah, right. But it'll bring us right down. If this head and shoulder breaks, it'll bring us right down into this area of support at around call it 5,670. So that's interesting and definitely a good trade to be looking at over here. I have this. I'm going to make this dotted line, I guess. I can't make it dotted, so I'll make it a different color. Ooh, Bitcoin's getting a little bit busy. A lot of conflicting signals going on over here. Bitcoin, by the way, it's about 29 days until the halving, and the RSI is the lowest it's ever been, the most oversold it's ever been going into a halving. We have the one of the things to look at here also, not only on Bitcoin, on and Anita, thank you. On the indexes here also, which are now selling off big time, is the fact that, and gold. All right, this is also important. It's really stuff I want to share with you. I know there's other stuff going on that you guys wanted to look at really quick, but the question remains, was the action taken by the Federal Reserve enough to prevent another near-term liquidity crisis? Did they overstimulate, right? If the questions to those questions are yes, that they overstimulated and that their actions are enough to prevent another liquidity crisis, then And if they start buying stocks, S&P is going to make new all-time highs. Crazy. Gold, beautiful, new all-time highs, and then some. Bitcoin, halving cycle, Fed stimulating, expansion of money supply, bazooka, right? All right, I don't mean to get too excited, but I'm excited about all of it. Anita, I'm putting in an alert here on this trend line of the neckline over here in case that breaks. Just so I'm aware. Here on the euro pound is obviously very strong today, stronger than the weak euro. We're gonna go back to the euro US dollar right now in just a moment. Yeah, Shashim, we'll look at the we'll look at the Australian dollar US dollar right now in just a moment over here. Yes, Hanera, it's acting very differently. With all fairness, though, we just had a crisis, an enormous financial crisis. That the response was $4 trillion expansion of the Fed's balance sheet, $2 trillion and more coming sent out by by the U.S. government. Bank of Japan, 20%, $1 trillion stimulus. And during that crisis, everything was tightly correlated, to one. So, generally speaking, is what happens is after the halving, a lot of miners become irrelevant, which just makes it which consolidates power into the stronger miners. When I say stronger miners, I mean those using the best equipment and those with the lowest cost of energy. And those miners have a lower cost of producing Bitcoin. So without giving the correct number, just say that number. Say there are a bunch of miners right now who, they're break even right here at or losing money. As the difficulty adjustment goes up for Bitcoin and they're producing less Bitcoin, those miners are going to go out of business. And then you're going to have other people who are producing Bitcoin, say at 3,500 or 3,000, and they're not pressured to sell Bitcoin. They could hold that Bitcoin. So you're going to get not only half the amount of Bitcoin being mined a day, but then you're going to get people in stronger position who don't need to sell that Bitcoin and could wait for higher prices. And then all these people who are struggling for break even and every single Bitcoin they produce are selling to cover costs and stay profitable. They're going to go out of business in about 30 days or in about 30 days, they're going to be under severe pressure. So over those first 2 months of the halving, they're actually going to be selling any reserves they have to meet costs. And they're going to be selling every Bitcoin produced just to try to, keep the lights on, so to speak, until they capitulate. So probably, and we always said on this channel from the very beginning that the move happens anywhere from 1 to 3 months after the halving. That's when the bull phase will really begin. That's when those miners will be out of it. And then you have stronger miners who don't need to even sell with half the amount being produced. I am more bullish on Bitcoin ever, and I love these prices. Near term over here, though, Anita, I like what you're looking at, what you pointed out to us. And if this breaks down, at that point, I'll be looking, at 56 as a place to step in and lean into the support to buy. Panero, good to see you, buddy. Really good to have you back. Fed is buying junk bonds, and you're gonna love this, Hanero. On Friday, Powell said that he's going to be, wait for it, hinted at, next buying stocks. No, I didn't see Trump's tweet. I didn't see Trump's tweet at all on oil. Please do share. This looks like it's going to continue down over here. Euro under pressure. This looks like it's going to continue down and at least head down into this next area of support. I missed this trade. I wish I didn't. This trend line over here, this trend line break was the next opportunity. It's now coming down nicely. I know we have some people that want to look at the Australian dollar, US dollar. Definitely want to do that all as well. But let's check it now as we're coming right down into that 100-hour moving average, the 1 hour 100 period moving average that Blair pointed out so far is providing a little bit of resistance. And pull it up at the same time, Panera. And then let's get back into the Australian dollar, US dollar. Yeah. So my one. So I mean, the $1 million question is, when does that happen? When do they begin? Right. This almost gives you a sense that if we are into a depression, where normally in a depression you would see, up to 80% from the all-time highs. I don't think even if we're in during depression, that's going to happen. Why? Because this time I do believe that the Fed steps in to buy stocks. They need to save the pension system, even if the dollar is devalued. Even if the dollar is devalued, as long as they have the stock market at all-time highs, the system goes on. So what I don't rule out challenging and or breaking these lows, but if we do, I think that's soon then when the Fed will step in to buy stocks. Actually, if we do break the lows, at that point I will be looking to step in to buy and hold stocks. So let's see if we can find I want to see the tweet you're talking about over here. All right. So Trump this doesn't seem right to me. Let's see what he says, though. Having been involved in the negotiations, to put it mildly, the number that OPEC is looking to cut is 20 million barrels a day. So $28 million barrels a day is what is needed to bring the supply back to an equilibrium. Not the 10 million that is generally being reported. If anything near this happens and the world gets back to business. So, I mean, I have to be honest. I don't believe it. Bouncing off that 100-day, Blair. I don't believe it. I personally believe that rightfully so, Russia and Saudi Arabia, rightfully so Russia, not rightfully so Saudi Arabia, are looking to pressure the shale industry and take out the shale producers. I really believe that that's what they're trying to do. And Russia, being that the U.S. has imposed sanctions on them, has every right to do that. If you saw, thanks for the share, Blair, the Max Kaiser video on keto metals. He was saying that there is no gold to be bought right now. That's only gonna actually move up the timeline of some sovereign nation stepping in to buy Bitcoin. If there's no gold to buy, what are they gonna do? Buy Bitcoin. All right. Bouncing a little bit over here. The euro still very early in the session. Equities now been open half hour, not trading at their lows of the session, but definitely well off since New York has opened up for business. Let's get back now into the Australian dollar, US dollar, and see what's going on. Yeah, well said. A lot of people are finally waking up. More people being red pilled every day, understanding what is going on around them. People understanding the emperor has no clothes, but nevertheless, they don't ask for our permission when they do things. Right now, they just passed what did they pass? The $2.1 trillion stimulus plan, basically, giving some Americans $1,200 as a bribe, so that, oh yeah, well, this time it's not going to the bankers and corporations, it's going to the people. But it was just basically about 2% of that $2 trillion went to the people. 98% of that money, of the taxpayers' money, is going to bail out failed corporations. People definitely are waking up. Australian dollar, US dollar. I'm not sure of the channel that you saw. I would like to see it. I'll try to put in. I could put this in as a guide. We're seeing this trend line across the board over there. I don't necessarily see the channel that you're looking at over here. That's why if you could, and if listen, everyone, if there's a setup that you're looking at, if there's a certain pattern that you see, if you have a chart marked up, go ahead and share the chart. Hit the camera icon and just copy and paste that link. You can't send it into the YouTube. So all you do is just copy and paste from the X on and send that into the YouTube channel. And just send it into the YouTube channel, right? And then I could take a look at it. But if this is the channel you're looking at over here, you know, get on you. You're coming up, you know, you're into an area of resistance. We've come up well off the highs. You know, I'm looking for this thing to roll over personally. So the only thing that matters to me is this trend line over here. That's your first indication. If you want to play this thing safe, you got to get below this support. But it, you know, I think there are some more interesting things right now. I like this. I prefer the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I think I might prefer more. I'm not sure what's going to happen here with the dollar. It's a good trade. I don't think oil is in a really how could I say it? It's not really that tradable right now. It's neutral. Um, you know, I'm bearish on oil, but it's not into a resistance where I could sell it. So just wait. Just wait. The fireworks for oil are now over a little bit, right? Let it just reset. This was the last play on oil. The break of this trend line to the upside, right? Also, I mean, you had two opportunities to sell off of this resistance. But right now, wait. If you're hyper aggressive, right? And you start right now, we're coming back. You could see this area right now of a little bit of resistance that we're coming into. I have a negative bias towards oil over here. I think we take out the lows. I just don't know when that will happen. So, you know, there's the market's digesting some pretty big events that have taken place over the last, you know, over the weekend with oil. Right now, just hang out. Wait for something to be clear. If nothing's clear, stay away. And there's a lot of clarity in the markets right now. Even the Australian dollar, US dollar we just looked at looks pretty nice. You could track Bitcoin over here. See if you get a breakdown of that neckline. Euro US dollar looking good. US dollar Japanese yen on the 1 hour. I lost my reference of support, but here it is. Go where the clarity is. The clarity is not on oil right now. Go where the clarity is. Go where things are clear. Go where you're off of either a break of a trend line, buying off support, selling off resistance, right? With a good risk to reward, and that's it. And then you're gonna see drastic improvement in results. Yeah, no, please do share it and don't be shy, because if it's not, first of all, it's a learning experience no matter what. Either you're presenting something that could benefit everyone else, and if it's not, we'll help you out here and make it a little bit clearer for what you should be looking at. So go ahead and share it. Euro Japanese yen down into an area of support. Let's check it out. Yep, big support. Here is the resistance. There's the area of support. And to make it even simpler, right? Look at this trend line, the break of the trend line, retest, rejected. This is the safe entry. That's the trade. You take it all day long. So being important to learn, being important to always improve. Look, this once price broke the trend line over here, right? You could get short there. The better trade is wait for the retest of that broken support held as resistance, and then as you come down, entering right here. This is your entry, right? You have better than a 1-to-1 risk reward into the first area of support, which you're in right now. Now, Thomas, I wouldn't, if I'm in this trade, which I'm not taking profit here. I'm not taking profit. I'm allowing this trade to break down. If this trade breaks down, then we have, 117.20 to look for it, 40 pips more to look to see how price reacts and possibly take profit. If price now is able to hold the support and start making higher highs, maybe, but I would wait until you clear this local resistance right over here, right there at 117.97. That's where I would get out of the trade, right? I would give this is the entry, right? This is where I would now exit the trade right here at this. This is so important how to manage a trade. This is the most important. Forget the entry. The entry we could get, it's no problem. This is how you manage a trade. This is what you should be doing right now. This is where your stop loss should be moved to, right above this area, right? 118. Right? So it's 30 pips you'd be taking over here. But the potential here, if you break down post support, is going to give you a really nice trade. Hey Phil, I'm glad you're here with us. We have probably, I believe, I we got friendships in here. This is the best community by far. Really, I value our community strongly. Hernero, would love to see some of your charts, even if you finish your trades for the day, if you mark them up, and we could go over them. And even if you feel like it, I could pass the mic over to you and get you to go over it. You let me know when you're ready. You can send over into the CTM group your email so I can get you up on here. Or just send the chart and I'll go over it. Don't be shy, Shaman. We are now been live for about an hour. Well, since we got through the initial hiccups, and there were a lot of them this morning, do apologize about that. But we're now, about an hour in. Again, normally we have the Europeans involved here coming towards their close of London. They're on holiday today, and trading, nevertheless, has been pretty active. There you go. Hold that. Hold it, Thomas. Nice. Pound is strong today. Let's take a look at it. All right, so I see the pound Canadian dollar coming into an area of resistance over here. I have this marked support resistance backward. That's so weird. This is an area definitely of resistance up here that the pound Canadian dollar is coming into. So I'm more of a fan in uptrends of buying off support rather than selling off of resistance in an uptrend. So what I would like to see over here, because we're in an uptrend, I would like to see this resistance break to the upside. After it broke, wait for a retest of that broken resistance, see as it hold the support, and then on the resumption, get involved over here, because you don't have the next resistance is all the way up here at 1.1755. So there's a nice trade if you break this resistance to the upside. As far as selling this resistance over here, why it's a valid trade, and why I say valid, if you see price start making lower lows over here, let me look on the 4-hour. If you see price start making lower lows and gives you an indication that this resistance is holding, right? The risk reward going into the support down here is really good. And you just can't go wrong doing that. You can't go wrong. I mean, that's exactly what you need to do. So anytime you're taking a trade into support or resistance, I have to applaud it and affirm it. But you have to wait for the signal, first of all, right? Because you have a good risk to reward. You take enough of these, you're going to be right. If you would have took this one, look over here as price came into the resistance, right? Even if you took the entry down here as price made the lower low, you have a 1-to-1 risk reward coming in down here, right? Probably I would have been stopped out of this trade at break even, because down here I would have moved my stop loss to break even, and it would have been a break even trade. Nevertheless, I prefer buying off of supports in uptrends. Gold breaking up, Simon. I would love to see gold fly. I would really love to see gold fly, as it should. Looks pretty good. Again, so two things. First of all, so this is so important, because I don't see a trade here. I do not ever play the breakout. It's a low percentage trade. All right. There are times, a small percentage of times, that the breakout gets away from you and never looks back. You could see that happen right here in the beginning of January. Look at the break right here. See this candle that my mouse is over? Price broke this channel, and you never had a chance to get back into that trade. Price just flew. There are certain times that the price will break out and never look back. The vast majority of the times, that's not what happens. Normally what happens is you get a breakout and then a retest of that broken level, the resistance, see if it holds as support. Now, this neckline over here, Anita had pointed out, this was the entry on the trade, right? You came into this resistance, pulled back, tested this broken resistance, held as support. This was your second entry. So right now, you either had it here as your first entry opportunity or here as your second entry opportunity. I didn't take either one of them, so I can't enter now, as gold looks like, as Simon said, possibly ready to break 1,700. And I do really believe it could get to 1,800 pretty quickly if it does that. Don't chase it, though. Better to make the right trade. Here was the entry. Here was your next entry, right? If you chase things, you're done. You have no chance. Yep, you got to post it, Shaman, for me to be able to see it. If you look under Hanero's post where he posted how he posted that link, that's how you need to post it in order for me to be able to see it. All right, I like the look of this chart before I even get to it. I like it a lot. All right, so we're looking at the 15-minute here of the euro Japanese yen. I see, first of all, this trend line over here, number one. Oh, this is what we just looked at, Hanera. This is awesome. This is what we just looked at on. When I say this is just what we looked at, the same structure. I don't remember what pair it was. All right, so this trend line over here, by the way, let me hold on. This is good stuff. Good job, Hanera. This trend line over here, right? You see price break down. What does it do? He doesn't play the breakout. Comes back up. It tests the broken. Everyone ingrain this into your mind. It broke the broken support. Came back up. Tested that support. It holds as resistance. Here's the entry, right? The same level. Look, that could have been the entry. He waited for that broken support to be tested. Again, it held. There was his entry, even better, safer, higher percentage point, higher percentage chance, his entry. And then from there, came back down and he took his TP while he was sleeping. He made some money while he was sleeping. Beautiful. Beautiful anatomy of a trade. Beautiful anatomy of a trade, right? This is why you don't chase things. Wait for that. Wait for that breakdown of the trend line. Then wait for the retest. And then as price resumes backward, there's your entry. That's the type of trade. I also like over here, this trend line over here, because if he would have kept holding this trade, if he wasn't sleeping, he has this trend line to know when to get out of the trade. A break on the upside of this trend line is an exit. And if not, he pushed it all the way down into this area of support. And this is just support right now that we're in that very well could break down further. So that's the beautiful anatomy of a trade. Love it. It didn't come through. I'm sure you posted it. Again, just only post this portion of it, Shaman. Only post from the X over. That's all you could post into here. Well, we like having you here. So definitely appreciate that. Appreciate the 30 likes on the video. That really shows me that, everyone appreciates what's going on in here. It also helps other people. Shaman, the only way that you could post yours in here is by posting from the X on. All right. Definitely appreciate you. Appreciate you, Hanero. Let's check out Henry. Shaman, I don't have yet your chart, so I'm waiting for it. All right, buddy, you got to post just from the X on of the URL. If once you post that in here, which even though you tried hasn't been posted, we'll take a look at it. But right now, let's move over to the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, 4 hour, looking at a bull flag. Let's check it out. It's been a little bit since I've looked at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So I'm going into it a little bit cold. Let me just draw it up. US equities now have been opened for about 45 minutes. Not trading at the lows of the day, but pretty close to it. The lows were down here at 27.24, which is about 3/4 of a percentage point lower. See what happens. All right. So as you can see, all the kids are now up and active. We had the baby boy take his first steps yesterday. That was pretty cool. So before I get into your bull flag, all right. Before I get into the bull flag that you're looking at, I just want to step back and look over here. The first thing I want to do is I could see, first of all, I'm looking at this resistance over up here, right? And then if I follow the horizontal line back, I see the touch over here, which was support. Once it was broken, this was resistance right over there, right? So let me draw this line right over there. I want to change this one over to an area of support. All right. Looking at over here, possible. That's not even drawn well. Let's try that again. This is the bull flag you're looking at, right? And it's definitely a bull flag. Now, step back a little bit. You still got some room over here. At the same time, you're also into resistance, right? So it doesn't make it easy to trade. Trading not always or ever so easy anyway. All right, so I could tell by the voice and the hesitation in my voice that I don't love it. I do see exactly what you're looking at. And if you go back from the lows over here just a few weeks ago, for the last few weeks, you're in an uptrend. 100%. A bull flag in an uptrend, that's usually an extension overwards. Maybe just use the high of this resistance, a break above it, as the entry out of the bull flag a little bit higher than you normally would. But at the same time, you're also in a downtrend, right? From my perspective, I'm still in a downtrend. I actually have to I actually got to get above here for me to be considering this an uptrend. And yes, Jordan, well, the low was all the way down here. So that's pretty far. Yeah, look, if you're trading on the 4-hour time frame and you see this bull flag, I do see it and I do like it. At the same time, I view this from the way that my swing trading perspective, which is on the 8-hour. I'm looking at us in a downtrend trading into this area of resistance, right? And my entry probably to be safe would not be until the support was broken down here, right? So we're in an area of consolidation between resistance and support, and clearly we could go any way. And I have to say, I see exactly what you're looking at. If you want to call that a bull flag in an uptrend, yep, that's exactly what it is. So good luck. All right, and we'll watch it and see how it plays out. Good luck. Yeah. Thanks, Andreas. Do appreciate that very much, and I not only enjoy sharing with all of you, which I do. I truly enjoy the insight and community. Look at this. Look at this share by Hanero. I mean, I enjoy all of it, and I learn a lot from all of you. So let's check this out. Page not found. Let me try one more. Yeah, it's not coming through. I don't know why. Here's one more you have. Let me try this one. Good, good. Yen is definitely the strongest pair into the session. Definitely seeing that yen straight, and rightfully so. We've seen enough of that rally. I'm not getting those to come up. I don't know what your settings are, why you can't share those charts, but at the end of the day, they're not coming up. We're about 10 points off testing the lows of the day on the S&Ps. Jamin, I would love to be able to see these charts, but the links you're sending me are not coming through. I want to hold this up. Let's take one more try here. Yeah, not working. I don't know why. Try sending me a private message. You could just send me a private message. Like Canaro just sent that chart over here, right? To send the private message, just pull up this bubble here. Pull up the bubble, start typing Jordan Lindsay, right? Jordan Lindsay. You probably got to be following me and send the message. Go ahead, send the chart in, the full chart link, and send it. Let me know. I'll take a look. All right. So we got the bull flag. I send that again. I deleted that, Shaman, and then we're gonna let it go if it doesn't come through. But send that one more time. If it doesn't go through, we're just gonna ignore it. Markets now again coming down, testing their lows of the day. DXY is unchanged on the day, coming back down in, testing that support. Blair noted at that point that the euro US dollar was trading. I guess you could say I guess you could say we all said that the entry would have been the low of this price bar down here. That never triggered. right? Now, you could also get not only the break of the trend line, wait for the retest, make sure that resistance, that broken support holds as resistance, and then attack on the way down as you make the lower low. That's the entry that Hanero just showed us on the euro Japanese yen. And that is definitely a moneymaker to be following and looking at. You're coming back now into this area here on the euro US dollar right now of resistance, though. All right, let's change this over to resistance. So this is an important level. If the euro US dollar breaks above this area over here of local resistance, at that point, this support has held, this trend line support has held, and we'll be coming back up, and we should be testing, at least up to 1.095, which is about 30 pips, and then maybe the high over here at the very least. And at that point, you see that weaker dollar, you're going to see this trade also take over. You said you got in already, but always wait for confirmation. All right. Always wait for confirmation before getting into a trade. Buying off of the bottom over here, off of the support due. That was a good entry. Ooh, I would love to take a look at the US dollar Mexican peso. It's not working, so we're gonna just stop there, Shaman. If you want to send me the link, send it through the private message over here, but we'll stop filling up the chat window with that. I don't know if the 1 hour is the best time to be looking at this. I'm just gonna extend this all the way down, and you could see, oh my goodness, what a beautiful entry there on the US dollar Mexican peso. And so one thing that's really interesting here about the US dollar Mexican peso, it has been for the past month, so the most tightly correlated thing I've seen to the S&P 500. Check this out. If I look on I guess maybe on the 8 hour, it'll be easier for you to see because you're seeing the close of the S&Ps, and you could just see, look at this. Boom, this breaks up, this breaks down, right? Look at this. This correlation is so strong between the S&P and the Mexican peso. We're seeing the S&P today come off, Mexico peso breaking out, right? Beautiful. So you have the resistance up here. That's the first area to look at what happens. Get above there. This thing is pumping up higher. Nice look. Nice trend line break over here. Looking good. Oh, you did. Thanks. Blair, could you please copy and paste the link that you did pull up into the Telegram for me? And I'll pull it up directly from there because I have the slash in there before the X and it's not coming up. So Blair, please, if you could just send that into the Telegram for me. There we go. All right. This is Australian dollar. Love the rising wedge over here. Let me pull it up on the chart. The time frame over here, looking at the 4 hour time frame. Now, the only thing that I want to do is look at, you see this trend line over here, you have it off these two touches over here, and then again over here. I would, could you clone this? Not clone it. Let me see. I think I would add this line. I would add this line, which is touching. I'm going to show you both the bottom of this and then the top of this. And then you have your line over here, which is beautiful, which is like this. All right. So I love this rising wedge you have drawn in here. Let me see how you get, look at the bottom. I love this rising wedge you have drawn in over here. I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit. The same. And this lower trend line over here is the only thing that would be focused on a break below it, opening up perhaps, because this is a continuation pattern to the downside over here. We're in a pretty strong downtrend. A break of this trend line over here to the downside opens up the door for the resumption, which I believe has the potential to go all the way towards the lows. Unless, of course, if you believe that the economy has seen the lows and is going to turn around. I don't, but that's a beautiful, beautiful look right there. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I love it. Yasmin, let's take it out. What is going on? So Yasmin, just to confirm that link that you sent, put it in from the X, please. Gold closing above 1,700. Wow. Orderly. Getting close right over there. We are now 1 hour since U.S. equities open. They are not on the lows, but they are close to the lows of the day, down almost 2% on the day. You could check them out over here. NASDAQ holding up pretty well. We have earnings week beginning. Earnings seasons begins this week. We're going to see some pretty, I think, horrific results. As far as how do you trade this, you have the upper trend line over here of resistance. I would also have in, let's say, I have the next area of resistance over here. Right. So as we get into a resistance, whether it's this horizontal resistance right over here, and then coinciding with this upper resistance over here, if you start resuming off, it's a place to sell. A break of this trend line over here really opens up the trade. That's when the trade begins for me. A break of this trend line over here to the downside. What is beautiful to see also today with gold challenging the highs over here. Be careful that they don't smash this thing down, as they may try just in a little bit, is the fact that you're seeing the U.S. indices trading down. I would love to see a gold put in a strong day to the upside as the indices trade down. Then we would know that tight correlation, that liquidity crunch is definitely almost over with. Let's jump back to the euro Japanese yen. That trade could have been a home run, but you had to sleep. You got to sleep, do the right thing, taking the profit while you sleep. Now I know Thomas is still riding this. Where are we at? You know where we're at? I just need a little bit of sip of coffee. That's all. That's where we're at. DXY is unchanged on the day now. Unchanged on the day. And not only that, we have this trend line over in here, our little guide, that yellow trend line. Above it, bullish. Below it, bearish. And we're just resting on it. What does that mean? There's absolutely no edge. There's no edge here for the dollar, right? So those of you who are attacking the yen pairs today, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. Nevertheless, I do see potential on the euro US dollar. Well, that makes sense. I was going to say it could go either way. DXY is neutral, could go either way. So could the euro US dollar. Let's dig in. Coming into this area of the test of the resistance right now. Listen, it's just simple. The safe way to play it is wait for the break of the trend line, right? At this point, though, now you could move up this, which was the entry, and now put it at the low of that last 1 hour bar, maybe a little bit lower. Still, that will be right where the 100 1 hour moving average is. But if you break below again over here at that point, that will probably be a breakdown of that trend line. Get back above this resistance over here though, and this support held, and that could be a long signal over here with the first possible place to take any type of action at 1.095. So going into it, you have better than a 1-to-1 risk to reward, which trading off of the 1 hour is super fantastic. Shaman, I think you would greatly benefit from working with me in the course. That would be a huge advantage for you. Do look into that, and that's something that would really just take your learning curve up tremendously in a really short period of time. I think that's exactly what you're looking for. All right, let's check back in. Gold, as it's getting close to an area of breakout. Even before that, right now we're coming down. S&P is pushing the lows of the session since the equity markets have been opened. Not overnight. Overnight comes in over down here at a low of 27.25, about 5 points lower. If we, again, earnings season begins this week. How could they not be terrible? They're going to be disastrous. Bigger question on my mind. Hey, I heard something. South Korea did a study, and they're saying that people that have been affected, they're actually testing positive again, and it's not because they were reinfected by someone else. It's kind of it's coming from within them. That's super scary. You know, has the euphoria of a possible recovery in beating the curve been priced in? Are we seeing that now also on risk assets such as the Australian dollar, Japanese yen rolling over? Is now the time to be looking at getting short? Those are the questions that I'm asking. Those are the questions that I'm looking at over up here. We are now about 900 pips off the low, coming into an area of really big resistance. feel like we have an opportunity here. Catch our breath. Everything's kind of in a standstill now. And it's been quite a nice opening. There's a lot of opportunity in the markets. Love it. Yeah, Pabs, you're involved in that also. I know also Hanero already made bank on that this morning, and then you saw also Thomas. Yeah, there you go, Thomas. Thomas really all over that. Let's check in on her. I like the fact that the commitment of traders has so many people positioned long on the euro, because so I have to be honest. You guys know that I've been pretty bullish on the dollar. I'm kind of, I'm very open at any point to flip bearish on the dollar, to be honest. The fact of the matter is there's an enormous amount of dollars being printed, and there's going to come a time when it's going to have a real action against the dollar. Now, I don't know what happens longer term, right? And dollar shortage is dollar shortage. And the fact of the matter is, in any debt-based system, there's going to be a shortage of the reserve currency. It's a fractional reserve debt-based system, which means for every dollar put in the bank, they can lend out 9. So if you ever recall in all the debt, there's never enough dollars to pay them back, right? So, but near term, could the dollar weaken significantly? Has the Fed's actions been enough? I'm I'm just trying to weigh this out. These are really important. Look at this, beautiful, moving down further now here on the euro Japanese yen. It's a holder. Hanero, if you could post your link again. Let me see if I can find Hanero's link, because he had a better look at the support. I don't really have it in well. You know what? I have it over here. $117.62. They don't even need that dollar deposit anymore to print that 9. Is what you're getting at? That's a good question. There we go. Okay, I had it at the same place. 117.60, 117.62. Yeah, we're in the same place, and we're breaking down further. I think we have 117.30 as the next area of support. Not that I would even necessarily look, but I'm gonna put it in here. Just as a bit of a guide. Get below that. Would love to take out these lows down here. This is the big support at 160.90. Get below that. Things are looking good. Here we go. Euro being rejected by that resistance, coming down, taking another look right now. S&P 2 points off the lows of the day. And gold still flirting with 1700. Ooh, like it. Yep. I think they just moved the decimal point back. So now it's, instead of $1 for every dime deposited, they can lend at $9. Fix that by a factor of 10. Brr, goes the printing press. And they're just getting started. They're just getting started, which is why I am, wondering on whether or not, for the near immediate term, I'm very open to flipping to $1 bear if it happens. Why? Because the fundamentals are changing. The fundamentals are changing, and even more so in the immediate term, which is where we make a living, which is where we're focused. We're seeing this. We see this on the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, also. All right, where do you put that? Right, ding ding. So we're seeing consolidation towards an actionable move. Look at the US dollar, Japanese yen with me. And you're seeing that same thing that you're seeing on the dollar index also occurring over here. So are we getting ready to break? Have we already broke? Are we getting ready to break? So maybe just so you all know, right? I'm flexible. I've been pretty bullish for last quite a while on the dollar. Hey, they're printed now. That could change. At the same time, I'm so bearish on the euro. So bearish on the euro. So I don't know. These are the things that need to be worked out all the time. Pound Canadian dollar is up at some resistance right now. At the same time, why I'm bearish on the euro, I'm also bearish on the Canadian dollar. So checking this out here, just looking at the 4-hour. I mean, I'm seeing this in the markets a lot right now. All right, I see bigger picture here. What does that mean? Get below this. This is support. I'm so sorry that this is flipped, reversed, and this is resistance. So, all right. Now we could take a look together. And so what I'm seeing here is, this trend line over here coincide with this area of support. Break below that, and like it or not, and I say like it or not, because I'm not a fan of the Canadian dollar. Break below that, and that's a short signal, and you have to take a look at getting short over there. At the same time, are we ready to break above? Sorry. I think this is a false move right over there. I like this better. Break above this area of resistance over here, right? And if we break above it, so you're at a point where trade is gonna happen this week on the pound Canadian dollar, and the entry is right now. You're into resistance, right? Do you want to sell this? No, you have support coming right up under me, right? I don't want to sell that yet. And get above, break above this area over here, come back and test this broken resistance as support and resume up. Is that an entry? Yes. That's where that would be an entry long right there. But before there right now, you're just coming to you could see price coil down, getting ready to spring. Not there yet. You're not there yet, but you're coming very close. S&P now making lows. No, still holding the low. Let me do that. There we are. So that's good. I strongly support that. I'm just Pabs. That's where I am too. I'm all blah, 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 but I am changing my mindset to being open to the fact that the Fed has acted enough and or overstimulated, and that we could actually see because I think that's the way they go. They go in big, right? And I think that why I'm in your camp. I'm also now cautious. I'm always cautious of the other side of my trade. And I'm wondering whether or not we're going to see some dollar weakness coming now. Um, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. I see. I'm a fan of strength versus weakness, which is why y'all should be, as the yen isn't, the strong one, you know, being playing off of that strength, right? Got to be play off of that strength. Oh, I don't know why the chart's not loading. Let me try it right here. I'm sorry, Australian dollar. What's going on? Same thing. All right, we have the Australian dollar against the Canadian dollar into an area of resistance. Step back a second. We're in a downtrend. We've pulled back now into an area of resistance in the downtrend. If we resume off this is where I look to sell. Right? Where do you think oil's going from here, up or down? I think it's going down. Is it possible we come up higher and test this area of this is why. I mean, here was an entry, but you wait and what does this look like on the daily? Here you had a move lower, and now we're trading back up. You make another lower low off of this resistance up here or this resistance that we're currently at. And I think that now that we're into this resistance, that's a short entry. So, and why I'm not a fan of the Canadian dollar, because I do expect we're going to see lower oil prices. The fact is that the Australian dollar against all currency pairs, to me, looks like it has retraced enough. And I'm looking definitely for that weaker Australian dollar. So just trade it as it is. But nevertheless, you're dealing with two weak pairs, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm not a fan of playing strength off strength or weakness off of weakness. Both those things really don't make sense. It's much, much smarter to play strength versus weakness. Find what's weak, right? Euro's weak. What's weak today and what's strong today? Yen is strong. Euro's weak. Euro, Japanese yen. Many of you have cleaned up off of today, right? That's strength versus weakness. That's where you want to focus your time and energy and resources. And I think that's that's where I'm kind of leading you. Let's check it out. Let's pull up over onto the Euro US dollar as it's coming down again. File this on the 1 hour. See, we're taking another test at that trend line over here. I moved my entry. I'm not taking the trade. I moved my entry from the low over here. No, I think it's better down here. I think it's even better. Time of day, guys. Be aware of the time of day. Now's not really the time where you want to be taking an entry. We're getting, you know, why there's still a little bit left of an active session. Time is running out against you. But here you go. It is breaking down. It is breaking down. We were just talking about the all Australian dollar pairs. I'm going to leave this chart up so we can come back to it. S&P is coming down, testing the lows, and you can see the Nasdaq now is joining in selling off. I don't know what Trump's talking about here. Obviously, I don't know what he's talking about. Looking to cut 20 million barrels a day. That's they had trouble getting the less than 10 million barrels a day. So I don't know what's going on over there. All Australian dollar pairs look like they are ready to roll over. So, and we see the strong Japanese yen today. What's a better entry over here? Let's take a look at it. I mean, for me, over here, you can see price coming into this resistance and now making a lower low. That's definitely a place to lean in for a short over here. Why? For a couple of reasons. First of all, clearly downtrend. Retraced back up, I think about 50% of the move down, but into this resistance. Price has been rejected by this resistance, making a lower low on the daily. That's an entry for me. You know where you're wrong. Your stop loss is up here. Coming into the support, and this is support down here. It's support horizontally, and also trend line support is a little bit better than a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And so that's a good trade in itself, in the fact that that just moves the stop loss to break even. If you get a break of this trend line, a break below of this support, this is where the trade becomes active and good. I'm not taking this trade here. I will be looking to take this trade here, but a break below this areas of the trend line and the support. But this looks good over here. This looks like a good place to lean in. Anytime you're selling off of resistance in a downtrend, which this is, that's the way to do it. This is a really solid place to look for and take an entry. And again, I'm looking for, look at this. This is an area that of strong resistance being tested. So far is rolling over. So this is a place to first, tip your toes in, test the waters, and see if that works out. Yeah, I don't know what type of game theory he's playing right there, but I don't believe that's the truth. Dinkar, we'll check that out 1 second. Wow, he must have went in big. He must have went in big, Hanero. We're going to check out the US dollar Swiss franc over here. You could see that this is now breaking down over here. This is now a break. Dollar strength returning. That must be putting further pressure in over on the euro, Japanese yen. And let's check out the US dollar Swiss franc. I see the US dollar Swiss franc has that same exact pattern that the US dollar Japanese yen has, right? You could see it. Well, Jordan with this. Just right. The same exact pattern that the US dollar Japanese yen has. And this is coming over here of support. I have this trend line in over here. right? So that's resistance on the way up. And then you also have this area. Hold on. It's not clear, but you could see it. And it's in play now. So I want to highlight it. This is, we're into right now. And if I make that darker, you can see it. That's just local resistance. So we're into two areas of resistance right now. This trend line resistance and this horizontal local resistance. Get above there after this support holds. That bullish momentum, I think, is going to carry us up for a test up here. The test right where my mouse is of 0.9796 in that area over there. And that would be the next move. So, you know, with a slight bullish bias here, I would say that the trade is pretty noisy. But it looks to me, on the bigger perspective, is that what is developing looks like a triangle pattern with the top resistance over here and then the triangle over here. So we're seeing, because this is lower lows, higher lows, and, you know, a resumption upwards over here opens it us up to the top side. Break above here and dollar's really breaking out, but we'll see. Looks pretty bullish bias as this support's holding. Get below this and this becomes really negative really quick. Gold now, just a couple of dollars off 1700. Looks like it's really pushing right now, which is nice. What's really nice is you're seeing a strong dollar taking foot, but a stronger gold like that a lot. Waiting for Bitcoin to join into that, which it's going to soon. But here you have that strong dollar breaking out right now, and gold still breaking out even further like that. See if it holds. Don't get caught in chasing the break out over here above 1700. Again, sometimes breakouts get away from you, but it's very rare. It's not a good trade. Dinkar, definitely. But good for him, Hanero, crushing it. I love when people make money like that. Good for him. We're seeing that huge. I want to keep that up. Let's check out the euro British pound because we're seeing that huge. There we go. There we go. Pushing down further, really looking to take a shot at that support down there now. We're seeing that euro weakness continue. Rightfully so, as it should be. We got the S&Ps breaking down now to new lows on the day. And gold looking to break up. Gold hitting 1700 right now. And at the same time, we're seeing the euro, US dollar setting the lows of the day. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on. And just want to say that you guys are all pretty awesome. I think it's a good place for us to close out the session today, though. Good session. And looking forward to sharing more with you tomorrow. There's a lot that I want to process. There's such an important point here in history right now. And there's so many important things, like we were just talking briefly about today, the US dollar. what's going to happen? Are we going to see, rightfully so, as Babs, hold on, I'll get this right. As Babs had said, he still thinks there's a shortage of liquidity and a recession and or depression is inevitable. So he's thinking that the dollar is bullish, and that's also my base case. I'm just now also trying to really make myself aware of the possibility that the Fed's actions have been enough, and we're going to see that weak dollar. Now, the amount of money, even though they're bringing it down now daily, I think we're up to $40 billion a day into QE, down from 60 billion a day 2 weeks ago. Now, that's still higher than it was at the height of the 2008 crisis a week. So it's a massive amount of money. It's a massive amount of money. So I'm ready to the fact that if that does have, the dollar takes a blow because of it. So you got to always be aware of the other side of your trade. Otherwise, offers up the possibility for you to get hurt. We should see the US dollar, Mexican peso right now really coming off, as the S&P is also trading at its lows of the day. And we can just check back in, and you can see up 2% on the day, coming into that area of resistance. Whoever called that trend line break on this, that was a beautiful trade. And thank you for sharing that with us. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.